Hello, students. We are going to put some dimensions onto our shapes in this video. So if what I've got on my screen here does not look like your screen, you may not have a yellow part shaped exactly like this, but if you haven't gotten parts into drawing files yet, go back and check out the previous videos before working along with this one. And like I said, we've got our multi-view drawing here. We can see this object from the top view, the front view, the right side view, and we included an isometric view, but we don't know how big this thing is. So this is where we're going to add some dimensions. This is another chance for you to also check that you did this to the specifications for this project. So again, dimensions we're expecting to see would be 0.75, 1.5, and 2.25. If you're coming up with different measurements here, you maybe didn't design this to the right size, right? And that would be indication to you. You might have to come over to the data panel and maybe, oh, easy on the scroll there, Mr. Coleman. You might have to come over to the data panel and open up some of these individual parts to fix their shape and size, which would in turn update the dimensions on here because everything is linked in Fusion 360. All right. So the strategy I like to use is I'm going to go to the dimension area. And I always tell students when you're doing this, the first thing we want to do is identify the overall length, the overall width, and the overall depth of an object. Okay. So right here, if I hover on this line, you can see it says it's 2.25 tall. That's the overall height for my object. So I'm going to click on that. And then we always want to place our dimensions in between adjacent views if possible. All right. So when I look at your drawing, I should see most of your dimensions in between the front and the right side view and the front and the top side view. Okay. Every once in a while, we may have to put a dimension around the outside edge, but for the most part, they should fit in between these adjacent views. Okay. So you can see I'm dragging this dimension over. I'm going to put it right about in the middle here, and then I'm going to click once to lock it in. So there's my overall height. Right, now I can also put these dimensions on by picking corners and then dragging it up. Right, so here's some information about this object's overall length. And then I can either do depth over here to the right side of the top view or on the top of the right side view. And where you put it is up to you. Okay, I think I'm going to go with the top view for this one. So again, I'm going to click on one endpoint, another endpoint, right, and then I'm going to drag this out. Now this dimension, I want to try and line up with the dimension underneath. So my overall dimensions here should line up. If you choose to put your depth over here on the top of the right side view, it should line up with this overall dimension. Okay. Now we can come back and we can put in dimensions about the interior details. So again, up here, I need to know how far is it from either the back or the front edge to this midpoint. And so I'm going to click my 2 points and drag my dimension out, and I'll click to set it. And now I don't need to put a dimension down here. And as a matter of fact, I shouldn't put a dimension down here because people can figure out what this final open space is just by doing the math. They can subtract 0.75 from 1.5. Right. Now I'm going to do my overall height here, so I can go from this corner to this corner, right, and do the same thing. I'll drag that out and set it. Okay, over here, I've got two inside corners that I need to dimension to. I need to know from the edge of the object how far is it to this corner and how far is it to this corner. Okay. To do that, I'm going to use the baseline dimension tool. Okay. I could use the regular dimension tool, but I thought I'd show you this one. So in the baseline dimension tool, it says select a baseline. So I'm going to click this as my base dimension. And then I can come in here and I can start clicking on individual dimensions. All right, to put a few of them out there at once. Whoops. And I forgot the most important part with the baseline tool. All right, I'm going to pick my baseline. All right, I'm going to pick the corners I want to measure to. And then when I'm done, I need to right click and then left click on OK, and it'll set my dimensions there. All right. Now that baseline tool didn't really work too well for me because now I got dimension lines overlapping. So I need to click this 0.75 and drag it down in between here. We should never have an extension line overlap a dimension line. And then I need to do the same with 1.5. I'll drag it down and in between. All right, now you can see we've got them staggered in the right direction, going from the smallest to the largest dimension. Okay. Now I didn't put any over here on this right side dimension because I'm given all the information about the height off of this front view. Right? It's 2.25 inches tall, 0.75 to this first flat area. And then I'm given all the info about the depth on this top view. Okay, so this one, I don't need to add any dimensions to. A lot of times students will look at it and go, well, there's no numbers around it. I need to keep clicking the dimension tool. And that actually gets confusing for viewers looking at parts like this. So we want to kind of use the Goldilocks approach here. We don't want to put too many dimensions. We don't want to put too few. We want to put just enough to give information about the size and location of all the features on our object, right? And we've done it here. We'll do a little review in class before you turn these things in to make sure you and your classmates are putting the right amount of dimensions on. Right? So there's your basics on dimensioning. You need to use the panel down here to add dimensions to all 5 of your part files. All right. And that is your goal, right? If you have any questions, ask a classmate, ask me. We would be glad to help. And I'm looking forward to seeing this project finished up in a few more days.